All right, what is going on, everybody? I am back from my weekend off. I hope you guys enjoyed the videos I put out this last weekend. I think they're some of my best. If you want to check them out, I'll put a card for them in the top right corner. Just check them out. And this is my 101st video, 101th, whatever. 101 videos. Crazy the time has flown by. Today, in this video, we're going to talk about the NBA Play-In Tournament brought to you by SoFi. We're going to talk about some other things around the league, some big news that's been happening. And yeah, so let's just hop right into it. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have an opinion, comment them down below. If you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So yeah, we have the matchup set for the play-in. I really didn't preview a lot of the games that were happening before this to get to this point. I do want to talk about this Warriors Clippers game a little bit because it was so big and because it was so meaningful, and it's because of that game where the Warriors ended up in the play-in. But we'll get to that when we talk about Warriors and etc. etc. Right now, I want to start with the first game tonight um, at 7:30. The Atlanta Hawks in Orlando to play the Magic. I think, if memory serves me correctly, whoever's at home is the higher seed. So Orlando's the higher seed and Atlanta's the lower seed. Just for going forward, if the team's at home, that is the higher seed, and they probably have a bit of an advantage. Now, I was very high on this Magic team coming into this season. And I think they started off pretty well, like the first maybe 10 games or so. And then they started trailing off, back and forth between above 500, below 500. And then Paulo got hurt, Franz got hurt, and they never really got back on track. That's why they're in this situation. Now, looking into their games versus Atlanta this year, because I think that's important to look at, because it's the only real point of reference we have um, with these two teams. Because I don't really think they have much of a history in the playoffs going against each other like some of these other East Coast teams. I'm looking through a lot of these games, and I pulled this up before I started recording. A lot of these teams didn't see a lot of each other this year. It feels like it was very like up and down whether they saw each other or not. And the Magic did see a lot of Atlanta towards the end of the season. The first time they saw Atlanta this year was February 10th. So they they're very fresh in their minds is what I'm getting at here. Um, in that game on February 10th, the Magic lost to Atlanta by 6 points. If we click on this game right here, I'm not gonna do this for every game, but we're gonna do it for this one. In this game, it looks like it was a team effort for the Hawks, and there was no Clint Capella. It was all the young guys. It was um, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Mohamed Guy, um, Zachary Richashe, Neka Kongwu, was all the young guys. And there's let's see, one, two, three, four, five guys in double digit points. Karis LeVert almost led the team with 18. Trae Young had 19, and this wasn't a great game for Trae Young, which is a little concerning. I mean, and it looks like the Orlando, excuse me, it's under my throat. It looks like Orlando had all their guys, literally all their guys, and they lost by 6 points when Trae Young for the Hawks didn't go off. Kind of concerning, kind of concerning. That was on February 10th. On February 20th, they won against the Hawks. The Magic did. Let's see here. And then recently, April 8th, they won against the Hawks. and then they lost against the Hawks. All these games are really close. They're very, very close. Not even double digit wins or deficits, you know? But I have to give a pick. I have to give a pick for these games, right? I'm looking this last game isn't really an indicator of them at their best, I don't think, because if I click on this last game they played in the regular season, yeah, they rested. Both teams rested a lot of their guys. Yeah, okay. Noted. Good. Okay. Let me look into the injuries real quick. See if the Magic have any injuries. It's right, no Jalen Suggs. He's out for the rest of the season. If I go to, if I can find the Hawks, there we go. Let's see. Do the Hawks have anybody injured right now? Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Trae Young is probable against the Magic with an Achilles injury. I did not know he had an injury. Doesn't really change my stance on this first matchup of the night. Give me Orlando. Give me Orlando. I'd be surprised if Orlando loses this game. I'd be surprised if Orlando loses this game. But if they do lose it, it's gonna be in a close game situation because that looks like what a lot of these games were. Is very, very close. Now, could the Hawks come out and surprise us? Perhaps. But I think I think the treat for winning this playing game is you're gonna have to play either Boston or one of these other high level teams. So I'm not I'm not sure. I'm not saying teams don't want to win this game, but that's your treat for playing your heart out. Um, yeah, you get to play you get to play the Celtics or the Cavaliers. A lovely treat for winning, you know? So let's move on to the next game. Not gonna get too deep into a lot of these. The next game. Now this is the one that had implications from this previous weekend. It's Memphis going to San Francisco to play the Golden State Warriors. Now, let's. I want to dive just a little bit into this Clippers game the Warriors played to end up in this situation. Um, this was a really great game. Compared to the who was playing, it was like the Bucks and somebody else. The first game of the weekend, it was Bucks and somebody else, and they all played their role players and everything and their whatever. They rested their starters. This was the game where it really meant something to both these teams because if with either one of these teams winning, they get a week off essentially, and both teams are a little bit older. They needed the week off, and I will tip my hat to the Clippers. Clippers went in there and got business done. You got a Kawhi Leonard 33-point game, played 47 minutes. James Harden 39-point game, 10 assists. Ivica Zubac had 22 and 13. It was 22 points, 13 or 17 rebounds, pardon me. The whole starting unit was in double digits, and that's really all they needed. Um, the Warriors look slow. They look slow at times. At times they looked really good. Jimmy Butler had 30. Jimmy Butler had the quietest 30 I've seen in a minute. Had the quietest 30 I've seen in a minute. It towards the end of the game it was a really impactful 30 points, but through the course of the game it felt sort of empty. But Stephen Curry at 36, Stephen Curry just doesn't look right. There were times in the fourth where he looked fully healthy, and there were times where you're like, does he look healthy? Brandon Podziemski had a good night, 19 points. Nobody off the bench gave you anything. And the biggest thing that bothered me, and the biggest thing leading into tonight's game against the Grizzlies for the Warriors is, what the hell is Steve Kerr doing? What the hell was going on? Because during this Clipper game, Steve Kerr thought it was a good idea to play Gary Payton the second 25 minutes. Play 25 minutes. Gary Payton the second's a good guy. He's an okay player. I don't see a matchup in the NBA where he needs to be playing 25 plus minutes a game. I don't see it. I don't see it. In this game was cursed. This was a cursed game because you had Moses Moody, who wasn't scoring, right? Had 4 points. It was more than Gary Payton. Gary Payton had 2 points. Moses Moody had 4 points, right? Only took 4 shots, 2 blocks, 3 steals from Moses Moody. Damn, I didn't realize it was that good. And he was just sitting on the bench when we needed a stop, when the Warriors needed something other than Gary Payton, who time and time again passes were a second late, didn't read the floor properly, and it cost you those little seconds, those little tiny things, cost the Warriors turnovers, cost the Warriors bad baskets, etc., etc. And I think even the worst thing about this is Jonathan Kuminga didn't play a lick against the Clippers when you probably could have used him. And this is my biggest problem with the lineup that Steve Kerr chose to go with towards the end of this game was, if you're going to bring in Jimmy Butler, who is not the defender that he used to be, but is still a good defender and did a great job on Kawhi, why would you continue to put Gary Payton in these situations where this starting lineup they had, Stephen Curry, Brandon Podziemski, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, that's a great lineup to cover up Steph's mediocre defense. It's a great lineup. And even like, hey, Brandon Podziemski ain't playing well. Whatever, making up something, right? Slide Jonathan Kuminga, let him get a couple shots. You know, I'd rather have Moses Moody or Jonathan Kuminga in these final minutes in these games because they need the reps. They need the reps, and I know Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga both won a championship with this Warriors team back in 21-22, right? So they have the experience, but they've never really been let off the leash by Steve Kerr. And I think this is just another situation of that. And they lost this game. The Warriors lost the game, 119 to the Clippers, 124. I think this was just the Warriors needed this. But on the bright side, they don't have to play the Lakers. And I think the Warriors have a pretty good record against the Lakers when they've had LeBron, when the Lakers have had LeBron. But now the Lakers have have Luka Doncic, and I don't think that was a good matchup for them. The Lakers will play the Timberwolves instead, and the Warriors will have to fight to play. Who are they fighting to play? I think it's Oklahoma or the Rockets. So yeah, but let's dive into um, the game tonight, the late game tonight. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I have something in my throat. I am so sorry. I was so unprofessional. Um, let's dive into the game tonight. Grizzlies in San Francisco to play Golden State. This season, the Warriors, let's see, they won a game against Memphis on November 15th. That was a very close game. Warriors 123, Memphis 118. Let's see, we scroll down a little bit. They lost to Memphis in a blowout. Let's click on this game. Let's see what this game was about. Who played this game? Wow, yeah. Wow. Oh yeah, this was that. Yeah, Memphis won this game. Let's see, when was this again? Memphis won this game on December 19th. Yeah, they blew the doors off the Warriors. 144 for the Grizzlies to the Warriors 93. Yeah, they blew the doors off of them. I forgot it. I wiped that one from my memory. Then the Warriors win this one on January 4th, 121 to the Grizzlies 113. Yeah, and then they should have played one more time here. And the Warriors won again. 134 to the Grizzlies 125. When Steph had 52 points. Yes, that was that game. Yes, yes, yes. I did forget to mention in the Clippers game, Jimmy Butler did sustain an injury. The um the severity of the injury is not known. He's not listed on the injury report, so I assume Jimmy Butler's good to go. And when I assume Jimmy Butler's good to go, I'm going to assume the Warriors win this game. Now, if the Warriors win this game, correct? They go into the next stage of the bracket, and they would either have to play Oklahoma or Houston, like I said. And I think I never want to say I never want to be a proponent of losing games on purpose because that's bad basketball. That's bad basketball. But I would prefer to see the Warriors play the Rockets. I think that's a great matchup. I don't think I think I think in this case particularly, if the Warriors have to play the Oklahoma City Thunder, that experience isn't going to do anything. The Warriors obviously have more experience, more years on Oklahoma. Oklahoma is one of the youngest teams in the league. I just think the Warriors would just get run out of the gym if they play Oklahoma. Now, if they played the Rockets, they might get run out of the gym every other game, but every other game means you get to game 7 in Houston. You know what I mean? So I think that's the better matchup for them. But nevertheless, that's the games tonight. Tomorrow night, we have Miami, the Miami Heat, going to Chicago to play the Bulls. This is a weird matchup. Again, this is a lot. This is a team with not a lot of experience playing each other. In a sense, in the playoffs, they don't have a lot of playoff history. I mean, dating back to the Derrick Rose Bulls and the LeBron James and D Wade Heat, that was the last time this was really like a thing. This matchup, but this season in particular, Chicago Bulls didn't really see the Heat till the end of the season. Yeah, didn't really see them to the end of the season. I'm looking through the schedule right now. Yeah, they didn't really see them to the end of the season. Okay, so February 4th. This is after the Jimmy Butler trade as well. Just keep that in mind. Um, Chicago Bulls played Miami. They won the game 133 to Miami's 124. They won again against Miami, 114 points to Miami's 109, and then the last time they played, it was a bit closer. It was 119 Bulls, 111 Miami. So it looks like the Bulls had their number this year. I'm trying to see if I missed any games. No, they only played 3 times this year, and the 3 times they've played, the Bulls just swept them. And I don't want to say convincingly, since none of these are like crazy wins, but I'd say pretty convincingly. I mean, the common denominator in a lot of these games is Josh Giddey scoring 20 plus points. is Josh Giddey scoring 20, 24, 20, 20, 20 plus points here in every one of these games. So if Josh Giddey's going to play, I want to give it to the Bulls, but I do like the Miami Heat's roster a lot more. So I'm going to do the safe pick and pick Chicago, but I do like the Bull. I do like the Heat. I do like the Heat a lot more. And the last game of the play-in tomorrow night, the late night game, the Dallas Mavericks in Sacramento to play the Kings. I wish nothing but bad things for the Dallas Mavericks, but we'll go into this nonetheless. If we look into the season series, the regular season series of, oh yeah, no, these are completely different teams. Yeah, okay, we're not gonna count that one because that's a completely different team. All right, here we go. The first time these teams really matched up post the Luka Doncic trade, post the De'Aaron Fox trade, was on February 10th. It was an overtime game, and the Kings won the game 129 to the Mavericks 128. DeMar DeRozan 42-point game. Domantas Sabonis 14 rebounds. Yeah, okay. That's a crazy game. That's a crazy first game. Um, and then they played again, and the Kings blew the doors off the Mavericks. Now, did the Mavericks have? I don't think they had Anthony Davis back yet, did they? They did not. So this Sacramento Kings team has not played the Mavericks with Anthony Davis on the roster. And Anthony Davis and Domantas Sabonis have a little bit of history. They have obviously they both played in California for a time. Obviously Domantas Sabonis is still in California playing for the Kings. When Anthony Davis was a Laker, they went back and forth a lot. There's some good battles in there. I I want to say the Mavericks. I want to say the Mavericks. I really do because I think of Anthony Davis has like 30 plus points, like 10 assists and like 15 rebounds. The Mavericks win this game, but I feel like the Kings have had their number all year. I'm gonna go against the grain on my last pick. This is my last pick, and say Mavericks. Mavericks are gonna win against the Kings. They probably shouldn't. Again, I wish nothing but bad things on the Mavericks these days, but that is the pick we're going for. So to go over the entire plane one more time, tonight, Tuesday night, Atlanta playing Orlando. I have Orlando winning. Late night game tonight, Memphis versus Golden State. I have Golden State winning. Tomorrow night, Miami versus Chicago. I have Chicago winning. And in the last game of the play-in, I have Dallas winning against Sacramento. So yeah, those are my picks. Let's move into some other news before this video is too long. Some house cleaning, so to speak, at the end of the season. This always happens at the end of the season. And we'll talk about some news that just broke on my phone here in a second. But the first bit of news I want to talk about, because it has a problem, it has conflict, and then it has a resolve, which I love. So let's get into it. The New Orleans Pelicans, this is reported by Shams Charania of ESPN. The New Orleans Pelicans have fired Executive Vice President David Griffin after 6 seasons with the franchise. They will be looking for a new head of basketball operations. So yeah, he was effectively the GM. There are these terms in the NBA that teams like to use, like executive vice president and head of basketball operations, and you're basically the general manager. They some teams have weird titles, and you're basically the general manager. If you hold all the power, you hold all the power. David Griffin. I was never the biggest David Griffin fan, dating back to his times when he was with the Cavaliers. Um, he is just such a he's just such a mid, like he drafts pretty well. For all things considered, he drafts pretty well. I just don't think he knows how to construct the roster properly, if that makes sense. Because if he one, if you can't do it when you have LeBron James on your team, this is back when he was the head of basketball operations with the Cavs. If you can't do it with the Cavs with LeBron James, that's already a pre-made roster. You should be able to do it. Couldn't do it. And then you get to build a team basically from the ground up in 2019, 2020, when you get the New Orleans job. You should have full reign. You should be able to do everything, right? And build the team you want to build. And he built the team he wanted to build. Granted, things came up, things happened. Um, Zion Williamson is, I don't want to say that word, unhealthy, overweight at times. Brandon Ingram wasn't the guy they needed in New Orleans. He got traded um, mid-season this season to Toronto. Earlier this season, DeJounte Murray, their big off-season trade acquisition, tore his Achilles. So there has been bad luck in David Griffin's tenure as head of basketball operations. That is no excuse for for a lot of the. I'm gonna just go through some of his notable hits here. I just saw this right now. I saw this right now. Um, this is back in 2014, so this is a lot. This is a decade ago, essentially, right? And this has nothing to do with the Pelicans, but I just thought this was funny. He fired Mike Brown as the coach of the um, the uh, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they hired David Blatt. I didn't know he was the guy behind that. Um, he signed LeBron James to a multi-year deal. Forgot about that one. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah, and then he signed Kendrick Perkins. Wow, this guy's a mastermind. Wow. Signed Kevin Love to a multi-year deal. Signed Iman Shumpert. Wow. Signed Richard Jefferson, J.R. Smith. This guy's been. It's crazy when you look at this stuff because then you realize this guy's been around for a long time. Oh, he traded Joe Harris for cash considerations. Wow. Um, all right, let's get to some of his more recent hits. Okay, let's get to some of his more recent hits here. So in his 10 years with the Pelicans, this is Pelicans years. Um, let's see. Yes, okay, cool. He signs Zion Williamson to a multi-year deal in 2019, right? Signs Jackson Hayes to a multi-year deal. Signs Nickeil Alexander-Walker to a multi-year deal. Jackson Hayes and Nickeil Alexander-Walker have turned out to be fine, fine role players in this league. Um, he let them go via trade or free agency down the road. We'll get to that. He signed JJ Redick as a free agent. JJ Redick, now the Lakers head coach. Small world. He fired Alvin Gentry, hired Stan Van Gundy. What a mistake that was. See, this is what I mean though. Building a team, you don't go from Alvin Gentry to Stan Van Gundy. It's basically it's the same level of of okay. You're not moving up. You don't think Stan Van Gundy in 2020 is going to revolutionize your basketball team. It's a crazy thing to think. He traded Nick Richards to the Charlotte Hornets. Nick Richards, another decent role player. Um, Signed Willie Hernan Gomez. I like Willie Hernan Gomez. Not in the league anymore, but good guy. Um, Signed Brandon Ingram to a multi-year contract. This was 4 years ago. 5 years ago. Damn, 5 years ago. Time flies. Then traded him 5 years later. Um, 2021, he traded JJ Redick and Nico Melli to the Dallas Mavericks for Wesley Iwundu and James Johnson and draft picks that turned into Charles Bassey. Wow. Um, Signed Isaiah Thomas to a 10-day contract. Didn't work out. Then there's a bunch of stuff here. Oh, the Lonzo Ball trade to Chicago. Yeah. Lonzo Ball was damaged goods, but you get Thomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple out of it. Okay. Yeah, sure, David. Yeah. Uh-huh. Um signed Jose Alvarado to a two-way contract. I mean, Jose Alvarado's a, a diamond in the rough. I'll give him that. That's a good pickup. Then you got a bunch of other stuff. Um, oh, he selected Dyson Daniels, and then guess what he did? He traded him later. He signed him, then traded him to. He signed a multi-year deal and then traded him. Um, let's see. He signed Herb Jones to a multi-year deal, which is good. Um, yes, here it is. So he signed Dyson Daniels to a multi-year deal in 2022, right? And then proceeds to trade Dyson Daniels, who is in Defensive Player of the Year running now, in 2024 to Atlanta for DeJounte Murray, who tore his Achilles. You can't predict these things, but DeJounte Murray has never shown to be that guy, and I'd rather have Dyson Daniels right now. That's foresight though. That's what's it called? Hindsight is 2020, you know. Um, and then he just has some okay, okay stuff, yeah. And then his his last act as the head of basketball ops for the Pelicans was to sign Kylor Kelly on April 13th, 2025. That was his last move. What a career! But you get my point. This guy, I've never been the biggest fan. I don't think he's a great evaluator of talent in the sense of the draft, but he's not a great evaluator of where people's ceilings are, where players' ceilings are. Because a lot of those guys that I mentioned that he traded or whatever didn't resign, they're good role players now, and that's what the Pelicans need. They need good role players, man. They need good role players because they're starving to get Zion some help here. And then there is some resolution to this. David Griffin fired, like I said at the top. Um, the Pelicans, this is also reported by Shams Charania, were interested in Hall of Famer Joe Dumars, Hall of Famer, NBA champion with the Detroit Pistons back in the 80s, 90s. There was mutual interest there. This was reported yesterday at 1 p.m. Um, literally 2 hours after they fired David Griffin. And then today at 10:30, they finalized a deal to become the for Joe Dumars to become the head of basketball operations, the president of basketball operations. Um, Joe Dumars was president of the Detroit Pistons from 2000 to 2014, building the 2004 Detroit Pistons team. Now returns home to Louisiana. I did not know he was a Louisianian. That's pretty cool. So yeah, he's an NBA champion as a player and as an executive, so he does have a lot of experience. Um, I think my only issue with this is that it is a conflict of interest because I believe Joe Dumars is um, he works in the NBA. He's been working in the NBA since 2014. It's around there's abouts. Um, so in the sense, I think he was like the head of like a competition committee or something like that. So he does have a bit of a conflict of interest. But I, all in all, just looking at his resume and looking at what he does and looking at what he's doing, I think this is a great pickup for the Pelicans. They, I think Joe Dumars is not going to put up with any shit. I think, if anything, he this might be the guy that trades Zion. This might be it. So we'll see. I think he's going to try to put a competent roster around Zion because I think that's what the organization wants. But if there's a guy to trade Zion and has the balls to do it and not going to take any shit and is going to make Zion lock in and be a professional, because Zion did turn into a professional for the last half of this season and he looked really, really good. I don't think that's talked about enough that he actually did get his shit together. I just hope he can carry that in the next season with a full off season, healthy, Zion stays out of trouble. Joe tries to build the team that he wants. This also probably means Joe's not going to keep um, the Pelicans' current head coach, because usually executives like to bring in their own guy and bring in their own philosophies and everything and strip it all the way down. But I think in time with everything, we'll see what the direction is. And the last thing here, last bit of housekeeping. Um, to no surprise to anybody, the Phoenix Suns fired um, Mike Budenholzer, NBA championship head coach with the Bucks, a couple seasons ago. He was with the team for one season. They finished 11th place with a 36-46 record in his one season with the Suns. This is Shams Charania reporting this. Um, Mike Budenholzer has also decided after the firing, or is reported that he probably won't coach again, but he will be being paid $10 million a year from the Suns until 2029. So, yeah, to no surprise to anybody, Phoenix was a disaster this year. I'm gonna go into a whole thing about Phoenix in a different video, because I have to do the one for the Sixers as well. But this is not surprising to anybody. Um, the only thing I'll say in this video right now is I mentioned in another video as well. Um, I think Phoenix should just tear it down. I think this has been a complete um, situation of malpractice um, since the team was sold to Matt Ishbia in, when was that? That was a couple seasons ago now. But I think it's been a complete um, just situation of malpractice. I feel bad for Devin Booker, who is the Phoenix Suns' all-time leading scorer in franchise history, who has tried to do it the right way, stay loyal to the soil. Um, he's a two-time All NBA guy, four-time All Star, and his season's over. And he's had, when did he get drafted again? He got drafted 2015, 2016. So this will be his, not including interim head coaches, this will be his one, two, three, four, five. His fifth coach, not counting interim head coaches, in 9 years. Five coaches in 9 years. Um, I believe it's eight coach or 7 or 8 coaches in 9 years if you count the interim head coaches. Um, man, I feel bad for Devin Booker. I really do. But like I said, I think they should blow it up. I think this is it. Um, they're going to filter Kevin Durant trades. They're going to look into that. I am going to boldly assume, this is a huge boldly assume, they're just going to buy out Bradley Beal and say, dude, fuck off. You ruined a season for us. Nobody likes you here. There was a quote from him that I'll read very quickly and then we'll get out of here. Um, what did he say? He said, "Oh, this is Bradley Beal on Running It Back in Phoenix." And I quote, "I believe in what we got in there. Things happened. We didn't have a good year. We couldn't put it together like we wanted, but nobody hates the other man. Nobody dislikes anybody. I love Phoenix. I love being here. Hopefully, I can continue to be here. But I know Matt Ishbia, the owner, governor, is probably going to make some changes, but I enjoyed this group. I would enjoy the group too if I was making $100 million and playing like shit. I would enjoy having a group around me like that too." Anyways, we'll get into the whole Phoenix Sun things another time, but that was the house cleaning stuff that has happened, and there'll probably be more stuff happening as the playoffs go on, as everything goes on later this season, this postseason. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hopefully this will be the last long ass video I have to do, and there'll be some smaller, shorter ones that are more digestible. Um, Again, thank you for watching. If you watched all 100 videos, amazing. Um, if you've just watched a couple, continue watching. WNBA season is going to start soon. Obviously, NBA playoffs are going to heat up. There's a bunch of stuff happening. It's going to happen. It's going to be a great year for basketball. So tag along, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you all in the next video. Cheers.